Hello, this is Biblical Tarot, and I'm back with another video, and I'd like to go over the Chariot. It's going to take me a few videos because I'm not going to be able to get all of the symbolisms in one video, but I'm going to go over the belt for this video. So I want to talk about the symbolisms on the belt, and to understand the symbolisms on his belt, you have to understand one thing about the Chariot card, and that is, let's do this here, that it represents or it corresponds to the zodiacal sign of Cancer, okay? And it's ruled by the moon, water, okay? And that is very important. That's what this card corresponds to. And probably be good to see what it means, which is self-control, victory, will, discipline, success, and self-assertion. Okay? That's important. And so we're going to move on to the fact that it is Cancer. And it is the summer solstice, which is very important to the card. I'm probably not going to get into that in this card, but it's very important to know about the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and it's embedded in the card. Okay, so we see that it's Cancer, and we see that it is ruled by the moon, and that's all we need to know right now. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to the belt and what the belt means. And the first sign is this sign right here, okay? And if you work with astrology, or you do natal charts and stuff like that, or even if you read your own, or get your own done, you probably will be able to clock that sign right there, which is a north node. Okay, it's a north node, and this is what it looks like. It should look like. Okay, the north node and south node are mathematical points in space. They are not physical bodies. Unlike the planets, they add no flavor to the expression of the signs. However, they are one of the most important overall placements within a person's natal chart. So we clock that right there. Okay, so it's a north node. Okay, and it's lunar north node, and it has to do with the moon, which we could connect that back to Cancer, right? Because the corresponding zodiac sign to the Chariot card is Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this guy here on this card, he's representing a north lunar node on his belt, right? So it's got to be important, right? And if we go down here, it shows you further that a lunar node is either of the two orbital nodes of the moon. That is the 2 points at which the orbit of the moon intersects the ecliptic. The ascending or north node is where the moon moves into the northern ecliptic hemisphere, while the descending or south node is where the moon enters the southern ecliptic hemisphere. Okay? So it's important, the north and the south, very important. Okay? So we're going to move on because I don't want this to be too long and it get boring. So we're going to move on to the next sign. in this next sign right here, we'll talk about this sign. And first, I'm going to say that Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, I know she's the one that did the art. And I feel like she obscured a lot of the signs so you couldn't really tell what the sign is unless you're looking for the sign or you know the sign. Like, because Arthur Edward Waite was in the Golden Dawn and he was a Mason, so he couldn't like give out the secrets. He was bound to the secrets and the meanings and all of that. So he kind of obscured and hid it. But if you are in the know, you would know and you would see it and you would recognize it. That's how I feel. So with this sign, this second sign, this is what I see the sign as. But it's obscured and you can't really tell. But it's nothing more than the Cancer sign. Okay? It's nothing more than just that. Because we already know that the Chariot card corresponds with the Cancer, right? That it would be easy to see, oh, that's what that is. It's actually the Cancer sign. So we have a north lunar node and we have the Cancer sign on his belt. Okay, those are the two signs, the two first signs on his belt. And it's a little obscure, so you can't really see it. And they're doing it on purpose. Believe that. Or they did it on purpose. All right. So we know that. We know that that's what that is. The next sign, this is what it is. Okay? I'll show you what it is. That is what that sign is. And I thought about that sign, okay? To me, that looks like stars, right? Stars. Some constellation up in the sky, right? It's got to be a constellation up in the sky. And I look at it to see, okay, well, what could that be? Could it possibly be Orion's belt? Because you have Orion over here, and he has like stars that make up a belt. And what we're looking at is a belt, right? It's a belt. He's wearing the belt. So I was thinking, well, maybe that could be Orion's belt, right? But I'm thinking, well, whenever you see Orion's belt, there's only those three stars. But when you look at his belt, it's not just three stars, it's another star. But I do know they kind of obscure things so you can't really, so unless you really know, like the Cancer symbol, she didn't put the little 6 and a 9. She just kind of like made it two fat lines going around, so you got to really like, what is that? Oh, it's a Cancer sign. So I'm thinking that could be a symbolism for Orion's belt, right? Could be a symbolism for Orion's belt. But I thought, well, what does Orion's belt have to do with what does it have to do with Cancer? Because I know the Chariot card is Cancer, And so you would think if he's talking about Orion's belt in that sign, what does Orion's belt have to do with Cancer? And I couldn't really find anything of the two that kind of related to each other because Cancer is way over here by Gemini. If you look above Gemini where Castor and Pollux is, you have Cancer. So, and if you see the Cancer constellation, it's not in the shape of those four stars. So I'm not sure on that. But I could very well see it being Orion's belt, And In a minute, after I get done with the other symbols, I'll show you why I think it could be Orion's belt. Okay? But I'll have to go back to that. And I'm going to move on. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next symbol. And this next symbol is nothing more than a check. You know, a check. I feel like it's a check. But I don't think the check was out back in those days when Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith was alive. We did not have a Nike check. But I'm going to say it's a check. And the reason why I'm going to say it's a check is because it goes with it, okay? This is the Nike check. And the reason why I think it fits with the Nike check is because there's a goddess called Nike. And she is the goddess of victory, okay? And this is the unconquered sun. He's the unconquered sun, Sol Invicti. You know, he is victory, right? And that is even one of the meanings of the card, the Chariot, is victory. So how could not this winged goddess and her symbol of the check later down the road not go with the Chariot? Gotta find her. Where's she at? Here she goes. Okay, take her away. But how could she not? I mean, what else could that be? I'm gonna go back. What else could that be? You know? It's just like a straight line. But then it has like a little thing to it. Like, you see? I don't know what that could be. But I'm gonna go with Nike, the goddess of victory. Okay? Because you want her by your side. If you in that chariot and you trying to win, victory, baby. Nike, the check. Okay? So, I'm going to move on to the next sign. What this sign could possibly be. And this sign is a moon. It's a moon. Why? Because Cancer is ruled by the moon, right? So it's nothing more than the moon. Very easy to figure that one out. It's the moon. So we have a lunar node, and we have the symbol of Cancer. We have a star constellation, which it could be Orion's belt constellation, the Orion's constellation. And I was going to show you why I think it could be Orion's constellation. But we have also the Nike check. Nike, the goddess of victory. And there's a big question mark with that. But you got to fill it in, right? And the next sign is the moon, right? The moon, because the moon rules Cancer. So, back to Orion. Now, if you look at should I call him Sol Invicti or Sol Invictus? If you look at his armor on his arms, right? Talking about these right here, right? This is what I'm talking about, those. But I'm talking about the one over here, okay? If you look at it, there's something strange right there, okay? It's something strange right there by that. And that is that, the star, okay? There's a star right there. And the reason why I feel like that star, it's out of place, right? I think it's out of place. there's no blue night here. Everything is gold or yellow, like the sun is out, you know? But right here in between him, next down to the moon, you have a star. Okay? And even you can tell with this, like how it's eating up the star, kinda. You see that? It's kind of like eating the star. It's weird. But that star, I think, is important. And that's why I think maybe it could be Orion's belt that is a symbolism of those dots in his belt. Okay? We have this star. And we know Arthur Edward Waite, he was a Mason. And what's really important to the Masons, what's really important to the Masons is the blazing star. Okay? And that is the blazing star. It's important to them, okay? And here we go. No, 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 no. There we go. The blazing star, or glory in the center. Okay, now, but this is the thing. Okay, here. The blazing star is one of the 3 key ornaments in a Masonic lodge, along with the Masonic pavement and indented border. According to Brother Pike, it originally identified with not only Sirius, I'm sorry, not only Sirius, but the Egyptian jackal-headed god Anubis, guardian and guide of souls. Now we know that's the dog star, right? It's the constellation Sirius, which is the dog star. And the reason why I feel like that's important to this, right? That's important to this star right here. And you see how they're kind of, you see like that, you know? That star and that constellation. To me, I feel like, I don't know if I have it on here. Yeah, I do have it on here. I just showed you guys a while ago. If you look at Orion and his constellation, oh, let's see, I can put this right here. There we go. If you look at its constellation, it's not far from Sirius. Or yeah, Sirius. It's not far. It's not far at all. You know, no matter what way you are, it's not far at all. So that's what made me think. And even if it's that constellation on his belt, even if it was the constellation of Cancer, Sirius is not that far away. You know, it's not that far away. So that's what makes me think that white star, that's very out of place, very out of place. It could be Sirius, the constellation, Sirius, the dog star. Now, if it's not that, could be Venus too. Venus could be a good, because Venus. And the reason why I say Venus, it could be Venus, is because when I look at his armor, it reminds me of a shell. Right? Let me open this up. If I can get it open here, down here. This is what reminds me of a shell. You know, a seashell or something. You know, And both of them do. So I also, when I see that star and I see how it is, it reminds me, I don't know why, guys, I'm just sharing this with you. It reminds me of the birth of Venus. I don't know why, it just does. Every time I see his shell armor, I call it shell armor. Every time I see that, and then I see the star, like it could be Venus. But, no one's gonna never really know, because you can't go inside of a dead man's head or Pamela Coleman Smith's head. And who knows if he even told her everything. So I don't know. That's what I think of, though. When I look at that belt, that's how I use the belt, the symbolisms. That's how I decipher that belt. That's how I could say it. So I would like to go over this part, the sun with the wing and that axis spindle thing. Looks kind of like one of those Jewish toys, during Hanukkah. But yeah, I'd like to talk about that and also the Sphinx. And it kind of goes together, the Sphinx with the sun and that axis. It goes together, and I'm going to do that next. But I can't do it in this video because it will be way too long and too drawn out. But it's very interesting about the Sphinx and the sun. Those symbolisms are very interesting, and I'd like to get that out, So I guess I'll see you in another round when I do another video. Thank you. If you got to the end, please subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe. It'd be nice. But thank you and bye.